Is Molineux our playground? Maybe it is, because our all-time record against Wolves now includes 7 victories in 9 appearances at the Black Country. Bournemouth got back to winning ways at the weekend with a 4-2 win at Gary O'Neill's Wolves. The performance was hectic, it was end-to-end, and at times it was chaotic. But one thing it possessed for the Cherries this time round was clinicality. And from that showing, we've learned a few things. So I think we need to talk about it. Welcome to Back of the Net. Whether you're listening or you're watching, this is The Second Look. My name's Sam Davis.
My name's Tom Jordan.
And Tom, what a wonderful weekend. Bournemouth got 3 points. A much needed 3 points, I'd say, after some losses that stung, that hurt hard.
Yeah, no, for sure, mate. And I think you and I were talking about it. And I didn't realise that we'd only won once on the road, because it felt like we'd been in some games. A good point at Villa Park, for example, felt like probably more than what it was, which was just a point. So we'd only won at Everton. And no disrespect, but you're looking at these sort of teams. We've obviously had some real statement wins recently against, Arsenal and City. And you want to go to Wolves, who are a team, yes, they've had a little bit of a corner, but a team that we personally believe we're better than, and obviously the league table shows that, and go there and just go, look, we're better than you. Do you know what I mean? We can go there and get some goals. And like you said, mate, I remember saying on the Telegram pre-match, selling our chat on there, a few people were a bit like, oh, they turned a corner. I feel like the way we play, and we do have a little bit of insight into the way Gary O'Neill plays, and I felt like our press would be too much for them. But my worry was, can we be clinical? And fortunately, like you said at the start of the show, we were. They
have a very low block, therefore they counter-attack very quickly. Yeah. And so we needed to be right on it. But it's fair to say, we pretty much were. It was harum-scarum at the start, but you alluded to the league table. If you're watching on YouTube, let's take a look.
Yes, please.
Bournemouth are in 13th, and you may be underwhelmed by that. I don't think anyone's overwhelmed. Maybe you're just whelmed. However, when you look above us, it's the points that are really interesting. We are just 4 points off 6th place, 2 off Spurs, and we only go and meet them next.
We're closer to second than relegation.
We are.
Just saying.
Just saying. But look, the top of the table looks pretty clear. I don't think Liverpool can lose from here, but you never know.
I still try and get it. Did Jurgen Klopp underachieve? I'm just saying.
Maybe
it looks easy.
However, the rest of the table, though, I mean, this is probably for everyone else one of the most exciting seasons for ages, because there seems to be just no consistency. I was just saying to you off air that Fulham got smashed 4-1 by Wolves, and then we go and beat them as well. Teams are beating each other.
Yeah, no, it is definitely like that. You're never really sure. There's that bunch in there. Like you say, you would assume that your Tottenham, Newcastle's, Man United will get a bit more consistency, and that'll end up showing in the table. And you can include Brighton as well, who are still up there, and they're showing that in recent years. But your Forest, Brentford, Fulham, Bournemouth, them 4 in particular, you feel like it's anyone's to grab. Yeah. Top out of them 4, who's going to grab it? Because of that consistently inconsistent kind of feel to it. But yeah, I'm liking it, mate. I pretty much like the bottom period as well. It looks quite nice, quite juicy down there. And I'll tell you what, Gaz, you are so lucky that them lot down the road are in this league.
Yeah, absolutely.
How can you have 5 points?
Really interesting run-in. It's going to be so tasty as the season progresses. You know what table's really good when we win?
Actually, let's do it. Yeah, I'm up for it.
Especially when we win away, is the baseline tracker table. Look at that.
Brighton and Newcastle shouldn't be in there. Nor should Villa. We're above Villa anyway.
I know we are. So yeah,
I don't know if Villa are good.
We've done really well. So you get your points playing away from home, but also against the top 6, either home and away. We are +9, third in that table. But yeah, there is an argument that some teams shouldn't even be there. However,
I just love that you've got it on screen there, the baseline tracker, and they're I can't even see Southampton because you haven't scrolled down enough. Oh, I love it.
There you go, Tom.
Thank you.
But look, Molineux is a ground that we've been to many times before. Have we always been previously? Have we been up in the top tier or the bottom tier? Because I didn't actually realise there were 2 tiers. I think we're always at the top, aren't we? Whenever we've been before.
Well, I've been. I don't know if you were at this game, so I didn't go with
the
you.
The side.
Yeah, that we spoke about in the preview. That Matt Ritchie winner in the Championship, and we were at the side, which I didn't like anyway. I mean, the Wolves fans above us weren't very nice.
Yeah.
But yeah, we normally get that tier in the beyond the goal now. So yeah, I think it's something to do with how much you sell and stuff. And we're only little Bournemouth, aren't we?
Yeah, exactly. So we behind the goal. Yeah. It was for this one, but a good away following and raucous and loud as ever. Plenty of cheers for Gary O'Neill. No jeers.
Nope.
No jeers at all. And we even sang his name to remind him what the score was a bit later on, as were their own fans as well. But look, 1:45 p.m. teams come out, mate, and
I was annoyed.
we're looking at it, and it wasn't quite as expected because, I was looking at the two teams that you printed on the preview. Wolves, obviously, not sure if you get that right, but Bournemouth, I thought, you're going to be bang on for this. But no Lewis Cook. No
Lewis Cook. And I only got one wrong because I actually, even though it's not the same position that it started, I had Lewis Cook but didn't have Brooks because I thought Clivert might go wide and Christie in the 10. But yeah, no Lewis Cook, who's arguably been our best player, one of. If he's not been our best player, then it's probably Semenyo. Didn't have him either, by the way. But yeah, it was nice to see Brooks start, to be fair. Obviously, you want to have Lewis in there, of course. But it felt, as I'm sure we'll go on to, that we're more suited to losing Lewis than Ryan Christie because Tyler Adams, now fit, feels like the perfect replacement for Lewis. And Brooksy, to be fair to him, if you're ever going to... I like that. He comes on and impacts the game against Brighton. You go, have your chance then. Semenyo's suspended as well. And he did himself no harm, mate. So, yeah, it was a little bit of a surprise. But what was fortunate was that they said he's just a bit of a muscle discomfort and we got so many games. He could have played if we needed him to. So I was like, thank God, because you don't want him injured for too long.
And it's nice that we don't really have to mention him too much after the game. Also, Semenyo as well. If we are mentioning them, it's to say how well we coped without them. And look, I know professional footballers are built differently. But when I played Sunday football, if I ever missed a game and then they lost, there was a cheeky little glint inside. I mean, there was. I mean, there always is, isn't there? If your team loses when you don't play, there's always that's because I'm not playing. However, Lewis Cook would have been smiling because his team was so good. And look, maybe it's making him worry a little bit because that midfield pairing of Ryan Christie and Tyler Adams, we need to wax lyrical about them during the show, and we will. And we've got your comments as well. We put out a tweet and we asked for your unpopular opinions, hot takes, comments, thoughts, observations, and much, much more.
I was just going to jump in while you're talking about the team news quick, just while we're on it. You've got to argue, and this is no disrespect to anyone, is that Iraola's weakest bench he's ever had?
I was about to mention that as well. Yeah, so Kinsey Welling's on the bench and also Ben Winterburn as well. So
Ben Winterburn, weird, because that's the first time he's ever been on it.
Yeah.
And I remember, I've watched the development side, fleetingly a few times. I always really liked him, really good on the ball, but he never seems to be mentioned, does he?
No.
So it was cool to see him because he's obviously looked at him a little bit. But yeah, two youth players that we're never going to get on. Obviously a goalkeeper, two defenders, Hill and Howson. Unal, who's obviously a clear backup player. Max Aarons doesn't really play. Philip Billing doesn't play. And so it was only really Ouattara that was kind of, you thought, well, that's the impact player.
He's the impact, yeah.
So, and you look at their bench, some of the players on their bench, you got real experience in Dawson, obviously, on there. You got Hwang was back on the bench, I think. So they had some options on there. So yeah, it was really good that we got the job done, mate.
I said this on my little kind of post-match reaction that I uploaded almost immediately after full time, but I don't know what the dimensions of the pitch at Molineux are, but it just looks as though we have so much room. Whereas at Dean Court, I don't know if it's because it's a smaller stadium and stuff, it just doesn't feel as though we've got that much room.
No, I know what you mean,
But I thought we were brilliant on the ball. And the fact that we can do so many different styles of football. So obviously I mentioned that the pressing high and winning the ball up the pitch and transitioning fast. But sometimes, you just lump it. And Senesi is the king of that. By the way, not a brilliant game for Senesi, you've got to say. We'll come on to that. But Senesi, in early doors, 2 minutes in, just lumps it to Evan Nilsson. And what a player Evan Nilsson is. I'm sure we'll talk about this, but the way he's on the run, he manages to control it on the go and keep the whole momentum and then be in a situation where the defender has to take him out. That was incredible, and referee awards a spot kick within 120 seconds or so.
You go. I think there was one time with O'Neill we went over a year or so without getting a penalty, and then we turned up to get free. Crazy, but they're all down to the way we used to say it with Callum Wilson in the Championship. We got quite a lot of penalties that season. It's because of the way he was and the way his runs were. And Evan Nilsson again, the ball still has to be a good lump, if you like. But yeah, Evan Nilsson. I mean, I don't know if you want to dip into him now, but
yeah, go on.
Just that it was almost, if he scored a goal himself, it would have been the complete performance for a centre forward, the runs he's making. And I think when you put into context the fact that he doesn't speak the language, which Andoni mentioned, he's only been here a few months, really, it's really impressive, really exciting as well. I mean, there were two Brazilian internationals, strikers on the pitch. Everyone was talking about Cunha. I didn't even notice him.
And
Evan Nilsson was brilliant. And don't get me wrong, Cunha's ahead of him in the Brazil pecking order, but Evan Nilsson was... Honestly, I mean, I said it on our Telegram. It's really harsh because we had a player scored a hat-trick we had someone like Ryan Christie who was sensational, but I can't not give the man of the match personally to Evan. He was unbelievable. He was unplayable, and I don't want to go too far ahead, but the fact that it's easy, it was perfect for us because we could joke around about it a lot.
Yeah.
But at half-time, 3-1 down, their sub was Craig Dawson on, which was hilarious because of our O'Neill little jibes. But that was because they needed to do something.
Yeah.
Because Evan Nilsson, and obviously they can move Lamina and stuff, but Evan Nilsson was having so much joy, I wasn't actually surprised because O'Neill needed to go, I need to get someone to deal with him, and Dawson's got a lot of experience, and that's what they tried. It still didn't work because, Evan was just on one. I really hope that he's all right fitness-wise for the busy period, mate, because I think we'll lose a lot if he's not available.
Important player for us, but Justin Kluivert coolly stepped up, and you've written something that's going to be on the BBC website, maybe tomorrow or Wednesday, talking about that almost sliding doors moment against Chelsea, because like, how many goals has Ever got so far? Is it 4? Three or four?
Yeah, something like that.
So with the pens, it'd be on what, 8 or 9?
If he'd scored them.
But of course he missed that, and it's almost, I don't know, it's meant to be for Kluivert, because I said, you know what, I've not been as comfortable with a penalty taker since, and I'm not going to say Dom Solanke with this, Junior Stanislas.
I thought you were going to say Junior. He was just never on the pitch.
Yeah, he was just never there. But
the worry is if we keep getting penalties, if we get them late, because Kluivert normally comes off.
Yeah,
but I know what you mean. It's that he just oozes that, and like you say in the piece, like I wrote up about Justin, it's like it epitomises him, I think. Quite often, I think one of them players that goes under the radar a bit when you got Semenyo and Ever and stuff.
Yeah.
But the way he's never played as a number 10, by the way, and the way he does what...
He's never played as what? Is he always on the wing?
Yeah, he's always been a winger.
Wow. Okay.
And I'm sure he's had like 5-10 minutes there and stuff. But the way he performs what Andoni wants to do is so perfect that he loves him. And he just goes about his job, I think, and just presses hard and just does neat and tidy stuff. And he just seems to just go about it. And when he steps up, he just doesn't look bothered. And I'm not being funny, that's a hard thing to do. 3 penalties against the same goalkeeper. Well, who's definitely not playing next game, by the way. Sounds like there's no way Jose Sarr plays again.
I was looking at the kind of the XG and all that kind of stuff, and apparently a penalty itself is a 0.79 XG. Okay. So basically they're saying, a keeper will save 1 in 5 pens.
Yeah.
So each penalty was treated the same, so 79%. But when you're taking a penalty against the same keeper, it's got to sort of reduce, because the chances are it's just like rolling the ball on the roulette wheel. It's not always going to be on black.
It's almost like they're playing poker then, aren't they?
It is.
Because they're trying to, are you going to go the same way? Are you going to change it? But he kind of looked at Sarr, but it was brilliant, really cool. And like you briefly mentioned there, mate, it was that Chelsea game at home. Yeah. We got our first penalty since Dom Solanke was our taker. We don't know who's going to take it. Ever steps up, probably more at the time because he needed a goal, rather than him being the taker, I think. He misses, so then Kluivert's going to take the next one, and we've never looked back. Yeah, and he put it straight down the middle, and like you say, he had 3 of them to deal with. Wasn't there one not so long ago in recent years where a penalty had to be retaken twice? And whoever it was scored every time anyway. Oh, yes, I do remember that. I know.
And they scored each and every time. So that was concentrated in the space of about 3 minutes. Yeah. Alas, Justin Kluivert did it over the course of the game. And brilliant for Bournemouth. Fans in jubilation for 2 minutes and 16 seconds. Now, we were looking at the goal back, and there's a few things you can maybe pick out here. I think Christie played the ball to Tav, who was hugging the touchline, and his touch was pretty poor, and it went straight back to Wolves. He then got the pitch quite well, and then I think the ball found Bellegarde, was it, on the right-hand side, and he had maybe a bit too much space. Zabani wasn't touch tight with the eventual goal scorer from ahead, of course, Larson, and maybe could have done better, but you got to say, it was an excellent cross.
And
a brilliant header as well. Like, superb. That's a really beautiful goal from Wolves.
Yeah, no, it is, mate. And I think we obviously spoke a lot about Cunha, but Larson was the one that turned up. I thought he looked really lively. I think he's only on loan, so they want to try and keep him because he looks like a player. But yeah, it was a good ball and good header. But from our perspective, I actually think Kerkez is not positionally great there. But I don't mind the fact that it's probably because Milos Kerkez is I'm thinking forward. I'm thinking I could get in here, which we'll talk about later. Yeah. But Bellegarde's got too much room to pick out the perfect cross. And Zab's maybe positioning wasn't ideal. That's what Richard Jackson said in one of his tweets as well. Unpopular opinion, but poor for both goals. He said, we'll come on to the second, but maybe. We will, but I think both Milos and Zabani for that goal weren't great. But the next goal we're going to talk about, they both were.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, harum scarum. And it wasn't long again between Bournemouth with Bournemouth retaking the lead. And this is one thing I've sort of said. It always seems to be, in away games at least recently, that if we score, they score straight afterwards. So they almost nullify, the opponents nullify what we do. But for us, we scored within, I think it must have been about 3 or 4 minutes of that. And this, I've got to say, one of my favourite team goals. I mean, I love a worldie. Christie's goal, for instance, set piece joy, that brilliance from Clivert, tapping it around the corner, just the movement. I do love all that.
I think if you put it into categories, so this would be like more of your team goal. It's right up there. I always think probably I would say a bit more counter team goal. Southampton.
Dan Gosling.
Yes. That's one of my favourites.
One mine.
But I think that one felt a little bit more like it was a team goal, but we caught them.
Yeah.
Whereas this one, they were kind of they were set. So yeah, it was a really impressive goal, man. I've watched it a few times. Really, really nice.
Yeah, so Zabani wins the header.
That's what I was going to say.
And then
you'll forget about that because of how good the move is.
Yeah.
And Rich Jackson mentioned, he's probably right. Zabani wasn't great for their goal. But that's a big, as soon as he wins that header, that's when we're off. And that's he was a real kind of imposing header, and then the touches after that.
The touches after that, I think it then came to Brooks, who then laid a quick ball back to Adams, who then put Christie in, who then just turned and managed to meg his marker a little bit. And when it looked like he was running out of space, so Evan Nilsson was running across, drew the defender with him, but then backheel to set Christie on his way a little bit. Outside of the left boot
pass is underrated.
It is.
That is an incredible
plays
pass.
Tav, who then waits it. I mean, he could have shot.
I think, and the weight of the pass for Milos meant he didn't have to slow his run down.
No, he didn't.
Perfect weight from Tav, to be fair.
And then the finish. I wasn't even sure whether it is in.
No, I know, because he just hammers it in. And that's his first ever goal for the club. So that was really nice for him. Because he does, even though he doesn't have loads of shots, he always gets in areas where you think he's going to score at some point.
Yeah.
Because he just gets in them areas. And he does always look like he's got a left foot on him. But everything about the move was, I don't know who was the best in that move, to be honest. There was so many parts of it. But Christie's little outside of the foot pass for me was just beautiful. Of that guy.
And he was in on the act later on with another brilliant move. I think it was another back heel or kind of reverse pass from Evan Nilsson, where Evan Nilsson looked like he was going to the right, but Christie was making the overlap. Christie shot from the edge of the box and Sarr parried it and managed to collect. But again, some of the movement that we were showing was absolutely superb. It's like they were all one mind. There was a lot of telepathy going on, and it was a really joy to watch. And you mentioned Christie, Aaron Kay. Ryan Christie is the most important player in the team. When he doesn't play, we miss him the most. It probably sounds like the most obvious statement in the world, but we can't say it enough, can we?
No, we can't. I think you could, if you wanted to get really into depth, you could argue because of the no natural left back that Milos Kerkers, we would have to move someone out of position.
Yeah.
So whether that be a Dango Batara moving Smith to left back, whatever. But really, I think if you said to me, right, everyone's fit, but one player's out, which player you can confirm is the player not out, if you know what I'm trying to say? I think it would be a toss-up between Evan Nilsson, because I'm not convinced on who now yet, but we could prove Semenyo Cini there. It would probably be Christie, mate, because of what he does. We'll obviously go on to it, and we have briefly that Adams is capable of doing what Cook does, obviously differently, but they both can do that similar role. I even feel like, obviously he's been injured for a while, but that looks more like what Scott would do best. Maybe a little bit more advanced. But in terms of what Christie gives you, we ain't got it. And I don't think many teams have got it. And if Scotland just want to stop playing him on the wing, put him in centre midfield, then I'm putting a quid on them winning stuff. No, but the bloke is just, I still can't get my head around it. He was an okay right winger in the Championship. It's crazy.
I think it's quite interesting because obviously Cook and Christie usually play alongside each other, but with Adams, he's more of the anchor, and it just gives Christie that little chance to get forward a lot, and he was getting forward a lot. Whereas with Cook,
he can drive
sometimes
a little
Cook goes, so Christie's maybe got to consider that a little bit. And this is where we move on to the conversation about Tyler Adams, because Ryan Christie and Tyler Adams are very different in that when Ryan Christie's had a good game because he's on the ball and you can remember all the different moments that he's in. But like I said to you last night, I feel as though you can almost know that Tyler Adams has had a good game when you don't even recognise what he did.
Because it means he's just done it. Because in that sort of role, you'll notice when you give the ball away because then they're normally in. So if you haven't really been mentioned, it means, he's kept it ticking perfectly.
It seems like his ball retention in terms of the amount of, like, from when he picks it up, out of everyone, I swear he's probably got the least time on the ball because he just gives it straight away.
And I always remember that, that famous championship, that first time we went up, and we had, obviously Matt Ritchie's, Kermgan banging them in, Callum Wilson, Elphick at the back, whatever. And I always remember that the player of the season was voted to Andrew Sermon.
Yeah.
And they all said that he's the one that goes up. No one ever talks about him. But if you went back on like virtually every goal, it's because it started from Sermon just keeping the ball, just keep it flowing. And he reminds me of that, obviously completely different, and it's a long time since, but just in the way that he just makes everyone else better. And I'm not being funny. If you ever want, obviously it is, yes, he can do other stuff, but the team that are missing that player the most at the moment, look at Man City without Rodri. You've got to have that type of player. Arsenal have gone to another level since Rice has come in. That sort of player, and I think, Cook's bloody brilliant, but I think Adams just a little bit more natural in that role. And you start to see very quickly, because we've barely seen him, let's be honest, you start to see why his hype was so much and why the Americans love him so much. And I'm on board now, love him.
Yeah, I'm on board. So Tyler Adams reminds us of Andrew Sermon. If only Tyler Adams can be our drinking buddy at Beer 1 as well, mate.
It's up to you, Tyler. It's up to you, mate.
Just come on down.
Have a pint.
Who was it? Jan as well?
Jan Kerming was down there,
And Liam Feeney came out later on as well.
Anton Robertson was about. Mark Mosley.
What a night that was. Look, we've waxed lyrical at the work that Evan Nilsson did. Should have finished when Cliver put that low cross in.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, I mean, that was a gilt-edged chance.
Is Evan Nilsson
should have converted there. Is
no,
he
good?
He
should have. Yeah, you're right. And like I said, I think that's the only thing that you go, he was pretty flawless, but he just wanted to take one. And I feel for him because he could probably argue, if he could speak the language, he could probably argue that, I might have if I want fouled 3 times.
He's pretty flawless, but he hit the floor again after Jose Sarr dilly-dallying on the ball. And,
poor, wasn't it?
Well, I think I read one of the YouTube comments. It said, our keeper was blindsided by Evan Nilsson. That's what it's called now? If like a Cherries player touches the ball first, you're blindsided by Evan Nilsson. But he just nicked in there. Like I say, he's not unbelievably pacey, but he's just got this quick burst, a bit like Dom has as well.
Yeah, no, I agree.
And just managed to get a nick on it. And just as Jose Sarr's trying to clear it, swipes his calf muscle. He goes over.
Was that the only one that wasn't given on field?
Yeah, the ref said no. Computer said no, but it was rechecked, and to me, it was obvious even at the time. By the way, we need to pay credit to Peter Banks, the referee. Gail actually mentioned this as well. So, Gail, this is for you. Okay. I thought he had a good game.
Yeah.
Come on, he did though, didn't he?
Yeah, it was fine. I mean, if you don't see them 3 penalties, then what job are you doing?
Wolves fans might not agree because they think that they had a couple of calls, but I was watching it, I was thinking, no, absolutely no way.
Well, I don't think so, but I can't remember any obvious ones. But no, he was fine. He done his job, which it's mental that we have to praise someone for doing their job. But he was fine.
So look, Justin Cliver again stepped up, and which way would he put it? This time to the keeper's right, hard as well.
Yeah, this one was completely different. He smashed, and it's the only one that he hit hard, and it's the only one that the keeper was near. So it's like he knew, actually, he's got me this time, so I'll let it out. What a penalty taker. Nearly as good as Dango in America.
Nearly. So, as I said on our post-match thing, after 23 minutes, looking at the stats, 6 shots from Bournemouth, 6 on target.
I think there was
That's what we want to see.
I think there was a period where we had 6 games in a row under Gary O'Neill and we didn't have 6 shots on target.
Yeah.
I think we get like 4 games without a shot on target with Gary. We got 6 on, unbelievable. But it was showing what we were doing. And they, from a Wolves perspective, because everyone knows the way we play, but they seemed, I don't want to say surprised because they're not stupid, they would have known, but they seemed to be a little bit, because I do say, joking aside, he can get a team organised, especially defensively. He did that with us, Gary. But they felt like they didn't really know what to do with our pressing, which surprised me a little bit. I thought they didn't look like they had any composure. So they were just all over the place with our press, and they didn't seem to be able to calm it down. And that was probably another reason why he brought on Craig Dawson to go, right, experienced lad at the back, to settle us down a bit. Because, to be honest, I know we were leading, but I kind of just wanted the game to just not stop for half time. Let's just keep going here because they're all over the place.
Boos were ringing around the stadium at half time, but like I say, changes were made. We're looking at the match timeline. If you're looking at YouTube, apparently Rodrigo Gomez had a bit of a knock, so that's why he was taken off. But
and
obviously,
you've moved Lamina into midfield.
Yeah, so there was a bit of a shape change from like Wolves with regards to that. Because at the time I was thinking, what on earth are you doing? This is so Gary O'Neill to bring off an attacking player and then put on a defender. But it actually seemed to work though, because they had more of the ball. Didn't overly do much with it. Kepa didn't have a lot to do, really, did he?
Remember a save.
There was just like some half-hearted shouts where maybe a player was, went down and like penalty calls, etc. But really, Kepa, there wasn't much to do.
No, they were very much that, which, like I say, we have seen. They kind of, and it almost felt a little bit like we went, look, we're 3-1 up.
Yeah.
Kind of, they're not going to hurt us if they just knock it. And they never really looked like hurting us, did they?
Didn't.
Like you say, it's never ideal when the other teams have the ball because you always feel like, they have a moment, which obviously we'll come on to, but they never looked like they were going to hurt us.
No, Wolves were restricted to shots mainly outside the box. We're just looking at the shots chalkboard now. They had 10 shots, but half of them were outside the box. I mean, we had a few as well, we've got to say, but that's really where most of their shots seemed to come from. And at the back, I thought we were fairly resolute. I don't think it was perfect because, like Senesi, I thought his distribution wasn't overly great at times.
Not like it normally is.
No.
And I actually think Celeste's had a few lately where he's dipped a little bit, and it wouldn't shock me. I think I said this on the preview, it wouldn't shock me if House comes in at some point.
And you can see that someone on screen agrees with you as well, because, I mean...
I don't know, not a dropped, but kind of he's on 4 yellows anyway, so there's probably a case to say he's probably going to get a yellow before the turn of the year anyway, so Houghton will get a game. But when you've got 2 games in a week...
You might as well warm...
Is it that much of a drop-off? Yeah, get Houghton
ready.
Houghton
up?
Yeah, and obviously he took him off later in the game, as with Cliver, because of that reason, they're both on 4 yellows. So that's hasn't been off, but he has dipped below his levels. I thought the same against Brighton, actually, at home. And what I'll say about Zabani, because obviously his levels are so high, and I probably agree he could do better for both goals, maybe, but all the defence could. But Zabani was the man tasked with Cunha more.
Yeah.
And we've already spoke about Cunha, who, by the way, is a top. Everyone was talking about him before the game. On form, his goal record's been, didn't do anything. Well, that means Zabani must have dealt with him well.
Yeah, true.
He must have.
Yeah.
So to that argument, I would say they're right. But for the actual goals, they were maybe a little bit lacking. But I'd always feel for Zabani a little bit because Senesi, or if it's Houghton, they're the defender that's tasked with being aggressive, going, so it leaves Zabani exposed sometimes. But yeah, they were still fine, mate. We just got caught out again, but that's the way we play.
So from the timeline that you saw earlier, you saw it was after about 63 minutes. So Brooks had a good spell during that game. Brooks came off and Dango Ouattara came on. And a word about Brooksy, we talked about him operating the press quite well. It's almost like he's beefed up a little bit, but I thought he...
Looked sharper.
A very different type of player than, say, Antoine Semenyo or Yassinis, etc. But still, I thought he had some nice moments on the ball.
Yeah, he did. I was really pleased for him, actually, because...
It shows he can work within the system.
Yes.
Because he was quite effective when he came on against Brighton as well.
Yes, exactly. And we've said that about a few players, haven't we? I remember Kiefer Moore was an obvious one. Never really let us down, but he was never going to work in the system.
Yeah.
We're probably thinking it with Billing at the moment. And I think, I've definitely said that I wonder if Brooks will be able to. And every time he come on, I always feel like he didn't do enough. Then he's come on, he's made an impact, so he's been given that opportunity, obviously because of Semenyo's suspension, and he took it.
I thought so.
He probably would have said, I would have loved a goal or something, but we didn't look weaker for not having Semenyo.
Yeah.
So that's really impressive because we know how good he is. And it's just nice to know that he's an option now, and he'll go, okay, rather than getting 10 minutes now and again, Andoni will probably trust me for half an hour now.
Yeah.
And I still think he's a player that could do the 10.
Do you think so?
Because he hasn't got the electric pace
that
Andoni likes from the wide man, as you mentioned. And he's the only other player who's moved in there is Tav, who's not as quick as Semenyo, Dango, Cini. Just wonder if there might be the odd game where it could happen. Because I felt in the game sometimes it wouldn't have mattered if Clive had to drift wide, because then Brooks could come in. It was quite good interchange. So yeah, really pleased with Brooksy, mate. And I'd love it to just work. I love him to just find a way to be a real, because he is an important member of the squad, but not us thinking, we probably have to upgrade that. I'd rather not, because we know technically he's wonderful.
His replacement gave the ball away. His pass completion rate, by the way, was the lowest, Dango Ouattara, 43%. And it felt like that when watching.
Bad.
Because every time we picked up the ball, whilst he provides that electric burst and causes some confusion with the Wolves side, his last touch effectively is what, he loses possession. And that's what happened when they scored. So the ball was won back by Wolves after a wayward final touch. I think the ball found Guedes, and then he slipped it through to Larson. Guedes had to deal with the steam train that was Marcus Senesi coming from nowhere.
Like a lunatic.
And he, like a lunatic.
I'm on 4
He said it
yellows.
right.
Fucking Jesus Christ.
And once that was done, Zabani was exposed. Richard Jackson mentioned the fact that, could he have been at fault for the second? I think Zabani, you can see from watching some of the replays throughout it, he's constantly looking back like that. And when the pass was made, he was just caught slightly unaware, and split seconds mean a hell of a lot in football. And the ball was played through to Larson, who was effectively one-on-one and okay finish. It was a bit weird, that finish, because I was like, it wasn't in the corner. It was almost
quite
straight in the middle.
Yeah, it was weird.
So I was thinking, how did Kepa not save that? But then I don't want to blame Kepa because it was
like he dived and then it looked like if you see
I think he might have taken a touch.
Tiny nick, yeah. But it was a good goal from their perspective. But like I say, they weren't doing much, and it was just a tiny little mistake in the game. And fair play to them, they punished us because that was the first one in the second half, really. Where we made a silly, and I feel for Dango because that was the first time, to his credit, and he has had a knock recently. Yeah. But that was the first time, to his credit, really, that it reminded me of last season. So last season, I remember saying a few times, he's coming on and making us worse. Yeah. He's not impacting the game. This season, he's literally changed games for us. Been brilliant. So I was well up for that sub. Just didn't happen for. He just had one of them games and nothing come off for him. Unfortunately. But listen, if we deal with it, we're not talking about that wayward pass as much. But there was still a lot for him to do. Kirkes is too forward thinking, which I love about him. So then he's not there.
Well, mate, check out his average position here for Kirkes. I mean, it's obscene. It's basically alongside Marcus Tavernier. And you can see that Adam Smith is, there's not the balance there, but Adam Smith had to deal with his threat, of course. Was it 8-0 on that side?
Very similar to Kirkes.
And then Kirkes was, Semedo, was it, on the right-hand side for Wolves, who wasn't that attacking. You can see from the Wolves' average positions as well, the difference between their wingers as well. Semedo not even over the halfway line, but you can see how Kirkes worked with his heat map. My God, did he get up the pitch compared to Adam Smith, who's a lot more concentrated in his own half. But, Kirkes, for all his enthusiasm, though, not faultless, like you say.
No, of course not. He does get caught now and again, but that's the way he's asked to play. I think you've seen it in 2 goals. His bravery of bombing forward when he's a defender on paper gets him a goal. It also means it helps them get a goal. Yeah. And that's what you've got to kind of deal with. But that's why I think we've always said that why whoever the right back is, Andoni always prefers Smith, because if you've got a left back bombing on, like we used to, Gary Neal used to do it with Vigna, and it was Zamora, and now it just happens to be the left back. Yeah. You want Smithy because if you think of Aarons and Araujo, they're going to be higher than Smith would, just because of the way they are as their kind of characteristics as a player. But we got caught for that one, and as I say with Zabani, there's talk of him getting caught a little bit, but when you've got a defender doing what Celesi did, you're always going to be a little bit exposed. Yeah, true. And I don't want to take that away from Celesi. No. He's just going to get caught now and again. But to Wolves' credit, they didn't do anything. They caught us once and they did finish it. So, and as I say, fair play to that Larson because he was a threat. Well,
it's been over 1 minute 26 since we spoke about Wolves' goal, but by this time we had a penalty anyway. It doesn't matter. Craig Dawson, what are you doing, lad? What are you doing? Played a short back pass, Evers' anticipation again.
Oh, brilliant.
And this was even more clear. The referee did not need to go to VAR for that. Gave the penalty. Obviously, they had a look at it. But Peter Banks, well done to you. Gail, referee's getting an applause for doing the job. And Kluivert steps up again. Now, not only did he have to deal with the pressure of scoring yet again from the spot, he had to deal with seeing someone's knob out, basically, in the stands. No, not knob. That guy that pulled down his pants. Well, and Ian Hensman picked this up, and we will comment accordingly, because as you can see, he pulls up his T-shirt, he pulls down his trousers, lovely blue underpants. Oh, gorgeous. But Justin Kluivert, cool, calm and collected, slots it home in probably my favourite penalty.
Yeah, I know what you mean and what it meant. But it's weird, isn't it? Normally I'd be so, no, I wasn't really, I thought it would just tuck it away. Yeah. And Jose Salva's just having one of them games, so you almost felt like he ain't going to save a penalty the way his day's going.
But it looked like Justin Kluivert was going to get taken off before that pen, by the sounds of it, because he was getting prepared, but...
He was. Let him get his goal and then he virtually caught straight away, didn't he? But
who would take it if, like, would it be ever?
Although that's interesting.
Yeah, who would take it?
Well, Dango was on the pitch, mate. Just letting Panenka it. Oh, yeah, I don't know, actually. That's interesting. But, I'm not aware if someone like an Adams has taken one for America. I don't know. But, it was... It was, lovely penalty, lovely moment, mate. And again, what's more impressive about Ever with that press, 70 minutes. He's been doing it all game. So really good anticipation. Like you say, we just went straight back up the other end. And that was the goal that I just thought, it's done.
I'm really, I don't know, like when the stat came out of it being the first hat-trick of pens in a game, I was really surprised. I thought someone else might have done it more recently. On Gary Lineker, they showed a list from like back in the day. But also the hat-trick of assists. Now, not being very good at FPL, I gave it a go once. I thought this is too complicated. It's going to take way too much time. I should go back to editing vlogs, which is, why I'm here now. But I didn't realise that counts as an assist if you win a pen.
Yeah, that's the assist,
Okay, so that's why when we check out the man of the match and ratings, I think it'll be quite obvious, or will it, who the man of the match was? We'll do it in a bit. But, superb and well-executed penalty. Chance of Gary, what's the score?
Yeah, just
happy days.
Yeah, just remind him. But Ever, and also a little stat for us personally is we've had, is that 5 penalties now? He's won every single one.
Wow.
Won every single penalty. So, good. Really, really pleased for him. And like you say, that gives you 3 assists as well. And we're always going to give a bit of, we did it last season, you have a little bit of banter with Gary. But the worrying thing for him was that, not the what's the score one, but there was, they were sacked in the morning and like little jokey chants like that. And some of the Wolves fans were joining in. Yeah,
the forums don't make pretty reading if you're a Wolves fan.
But I said this is obviously it's all kind of tongue in cheek a little bit, but I don't think their squad's bad. And that's why I think, because sometimes, recent one, Cooper's gone from Leicester.
Yeah.
There's obviously something in the background there because I think Leicester's squad, they're not in the relegation zone. I think he's doing all right. Not, what do you expect kind of feeling. But that Wolves squad's not bad, mate. We spoke about it enough, but Cunha, Semedo, Aït-Nouri, Lamina, they got bloody good. That squad should be playing better football than that.
But they did lose a hell of a big player for them.
They did, in Neto, yeah.
And it felt like at first, and fans were complaining that these players not being replaced by players of equivalent quality.
But then right at the end, they brought in Andre, didn't they?
Yeah, they did.
Which kind of seemed to ease it a little bit. And like I say, he's played a lot for Brazil and he's in the centre midfield. They've got Lamina in there. The experience of Dawson. There's quality. And on paper, you looked at both squads, there shouldn't be that much of a gulf in the way the two teams are playing.
And I don't think sort of man for man, their sort of playing style I think someone like Iraola would really get the best out of them because they've got players that could really adopt that style.
That's the point now. Someone like Iraola, obviously, that can mention loads of managers, but just because he's our manager, there's no way that he doesn't get more out of that group. And Gary got a lot out of him last season. I saw a few Wolves fans saying, and that's kind of how it feels sometimes, is kick it to Cunha and pray didn't work this weekend. It feels like, like we used to say a little bit that it was kind of like get it up to Dom and Billing and hope something happens. It feels a little bit like get it up to Cunha and it used to be Neto and listen, let's see what happens to him. I think he's on borrowed time a little bit. But I just look at the players and just think they're better than that. They are better. But they've got to take responsibility as well, mate, of course. But I feel like that group of players should have a little bit more freedom.
Yeah.
I don't. They're not a team that's like really good defensive with no attacking threat. They've got attacking threat and they need to be using that more.
The SofaScore attacking momentum makes it look, I'd say, more even than what it is there, but you can see how clinical we were when it mattered. I think the heat maps, though, are probably quite revealing for both sides because you can see Wolves are hotter in their own half, whereas for Bournemouth, that's on that left flank where Kirkes and Tavernier were doing
and they were losing most of the game.
Yeah.
So how they're still... That's the concern that I think Wolves fans are having with it.
It's absolutely not right. So is he a dead man walking, O'Neill? I know this is a Bournemouth-focused channel and stuff, but I think obviously as our former manager, we do need to talk about the situation. I think his full record at AFC Bournemouth, including his temporary spell, saw him gain 1.059 points per game.
Miracle.
And where at Wolves it's 1.078, which is there and thereabouts. That's pretty similar. Compare that to Iraola, and it is 1.294. So I know it only sounds like 0.2, but that makes a hell of a difference over the course of a season.
Yeah, it does, mate. It's it's a difficult one. I think the worry for O'Neill because obviously, like I say, we joke a lot, but he doesn't want to become this manager that's kind of he's a really good stopgap because that's what I feel like he's becoming in terms of you think he'll probably get you organised and get enough belief around the group to keep you up if you're in problems. Is he a long-term... And I almost feel like maybe he does need to take a step back and it says go coach in the Championship and earn your stripes a little bit, because obviously we threw him into something where, you know, he'd done the job required. So now he's managed to get a really good job out of it in Wolves. And really you think, oh, he hasn't even managed in the Championship ever. It remains to be seen, mate. But yeah, and like I say, it's all a good bit of banter, but ours is definitely more aimed at the media. Yeah. I've said this before, but the disrespect shown to Bournemouth as a football club for trying to progress, and just saying how disgusting we were for making that change. I think it's worked out all right. And not O'Neill personally, it's just, you know, a bit of banter of the footy. But I did always feel like when they gave him that 4-year deal, I thought, that is a gamble. He's shown signs, especially last season, but yeah, it feels like now he'll have to do a hell of a lot to regain that trust. From the supporters particularly. So we'll see, but I think if you're a better man, you'd have him to be the next one to go.
Yeah, so loads to be excited about on Twitter. People are going on about Tyler Adams, Paul Rickson, number of key interceptions, worthy replacement for Cook. If he stays fit, he could be a key man for us. Absolutely. Frogalin also says, unsung hero, was everywhere on the pitch and still went under the radar. Fantastic performance given his recent injury issues as well. And I think AFC Bournemouth put something along those lines out saying, how good was this man given he's only just got back? And that's really promising. These are the kind of performances we're seeing when he's fresh into an AFC Bournemouth shirt again. Yeah,
and I think a lot of people now understandably are going, what's our best 11? And I always say this, don't worry about your best 11. Yeah. Because you have so many fixtures that all it means is someone like Tyler being available means when you have a busy period, you can go, actually, we'll leave Cookie out of this one, we'll play them both of this one, we'll only play, you know what I mean? You can do that. And that's because I think recently we've looked at our squad. Obviously, Brooks comes into this conversation as well, with him having a good game. We've looked at our squad and gone, a couple of injuries, we're a bit weaker. Yeah. We get to a place where we go, if he comes out for him, because I think to a certain degree, we're looking at it going, we looked at it at the start of the season and went, Araujo or Smith, Houghton or Senesi, that's what we want. And now we're going, Cook or Adam. Like, that's a lovely position to be in, mate. And yeah, really pleased for Tyler. And it is literally just going to be keeping him fit and fresh. And that will be interesting to see over this Christmas period. Will him rotate a lot free? Because I think he might.
I've got a question for you. And this is where recency bias always kicks in. Liam asks, right, Cook and Christie, Cook and Adams or Christie and Adams, what's your pick? I mean,
well, if you have to do two.
Yeah.
I'm going to be really harsh as well. I would say I would have all three, which means I'm moving Clive out, which is mental. I think it's still, that was one brilliant game, but it was Cook and Christie for me.
Of course, Unal came on to get some minutes, and he's someone that we want to see more of. I think hopefully the FA Cup, with a draw of which is known already, but we don't know it yet. I think it's
can't wait for Anfield. It's going to be hideous.
West Brom away or something.
Actually, get me in the vine.
Mr. Les Anya says, Enes Unal isn't as bad as some make out. He has only had a bit part appearances and cameos so far. If he had a consistent run, not wishing anything bad on Evan Nilsson, he just wanted to clarify, he would come good. You only have to look at his goal catalogue to see the quality there. And that's one thing that he hasn't had the minutes for us to show us what he can really...
No, I agree. And I think the only game I remember him starting was at Villa Park. And obviously Evan Nilsson actually come on and got the goal in that game. But he started Unal, didn't he? And it's a harsh one because, obviously not recently, but at the time Villa were a good side. So it's a difficult one to judge him on, but he's just not the same type of player. My concern is when he comes on to make an impact, is he making an impact like he's doing the same as what Kiefer Moore did, if not. But I appreciate that it's difficult up there because he's getting chucked on. Normally when we need a goal or just to run the clock down, it's hard for him. So hopefully, like you say, a few cup games and you never know, festive period, he might give him a game. He genuinely might. I wouldn't be surprised if he now starts a game over this period.
I'm not going to ask an easy question for you, right? Man of the match and ratings. We use the ratings from Who Scored.
It's
we all know.
Private,
So the two, we can probably know are going to be up there. Top three. Who are the three players that you think scored the most?
So, Clive.
Yeah.
Evan Nilsson.
Yeah. Who else? Who's the next best after that? Both of those got 8.4, by the way. It went to the actual star man on Who Scored. Went to Evan Nilsson.
Okay. It's one part of me saying Kirkes because of his goal, but then I'm thinking, go on, I'll go Kirkes.
It is Marcus Tavernier.
I was literally going to say, I actually was going to go Adams, not Tavernier, but I was going to go, or it's someone that hasn't lost the ball much, which I think was that. But yeah, Tav, how many times do I say it, mate? under the radar. Doesn't lose the ball. He does lose the ball. But what I mean is he's just so good at in anywhere on the pitch. I think he's another one that from that area. It's, for me, I'm just desperate for him to get a few more goals. Because then I think he'll get noticed a bit more. But that's a nice one to see. Yeah.
Excellent stuff. So look, someone has left us a comment, which we'll quickly debate. Iraola is better than Eddie as a football coach. We have two centre-backs that are better than Ake in his prime.
Oh my God.
And also, the last comment, which is maybe a little bit more qualified, we need to find a little bit more stability and consistency over the season, but the highs are really high. Also, Ever has a higher ceiling than Dom.
I'll address them all quickly. As a football coach, Iraola, I think, is better than Eddie Howe. I think Zabani has potential to be better than Ake. I don't think Senesi and Anthony Enough Housen are as good as Ake.
And what about Ever and Dom, that comparison? High ceiling?
Ever's got a higher ceiling than Dom Solanke. I can't believe we're saying this already. You've got to put into consideration the unspeakable. He's only just come here. Last week I was thinking we're not quite there yet. Now I'm thinking, I'll tell you what, fourth's not that far away.
So this is our problem then. We just need some consistency. Right? Yeah. We just need a little bit of consistency. Maybe we can get a win.
What I was going to say is I'd love to have seen, like we were saying, just quickly talking about when we were talking about the way Senesi has to kind of, be so aggressive. I would have loved to have seen Ake being asked to do that because Ake's played defensive midfield in his younger career.
Yes, true.
I would have loved to have seen Ake under Iraola.
Yeah.
Could that happen? Maybe we could do a backup.
You never know. You never know. But look, cheers for being with us today for the second look. We've got Spurs ahead on Thursday. Easy, but a nice chance to see the return of Dom Solanke. That could be an entertaining game. Maybe we can get Ange the sack. Who knows? But whether you've been listening or you've been watching, thank you very much. Up the chairs, and we'll see you in the next one.
Oh, we're not that bad on Gaz, were we? I was trying caveat it. I don't mind him that much. Funny though, isn't it?